So hi everybody and welcome back. This is a full game tutorial for absolute beginners. This is video number 5 and we continue with our talk what we need for our game. So in the last video I talked that we will only create a core system, which means it is the absolute bare minimum but still deployable, and we should write all our creative ideas on a side note and not do them at the start, which means we just finish our core system, we test our core system, and if we have time we can add then our absolute nice creative ideas, but not at the start please. And when you do something like that, it will look something like this one. This person here demonstrates absolute perfect what a core system is. Very simple, very fast, and all the core features are here, and that's nice. And now we talk about what kind of game you should make, because that's also interesting and a very important topic. Before you start, of course, making a game, you should you have to decide what kind of game you make, and to understand what kind of game you can make, you have of course you need a knowledge what kind of different kind of games exist. This is not very important here to discuss all these genres, for example RPG, first shooter, puzzle games, and all this kind of stuff. I hope you know them by now. If not, no worry, because it is very important that you should make probably a game which you already played in your life, because then it's easier, let's say, to create a game like that. The reason for that is if you already played the similar game which you want to make, means you have already experienced, because experience in using a game like that. For example, if you never played a shooter game, don't make really a shooter game, because you need also understand how the player of this shooter games, why they play shooter games and why they like it. Or for example, in my case, I have never played a sim game. Probably I should not make a sim game, because I have no idea how the player of the simulator games, why they play that. I have no idea about this, so I should not make games about things which I have not a clue. But let's say I have played RPGs, for example. I know exactly when for example, this action RPG, I know exactly how these players tick in their heads when they play action RPG games, and what they like, what they don't like. And so I have experience in this kind of stuff, and this experience you can bring into your game. So when you decide to make a game, normally you should like I said, you should make something which you are already familiar. That will help a lot, because you can bring your own experience and knowledge what you learned during playing, and then you say, hey, I know this is interesting in this game, I know this every player wants to see, because you want to see it probably too, and something like that. Okay, let's go one step further. What happens now here in our tutorial? In my case, I am making this kind of game, and not because I played a lot of games like this. That's not true. In my case, I make this game because I have a special target. In my case, it is a mobile game. I want to make a mobile game, and this game, what you can see here, is the absolute perfect candidate for a mobile game, which means I want to make a game which is very short, around 1.5 minutes, which you can play, for example, when you are outside on a bus stop, or waiting anywhere for a pizza, or waiting for a short amount for a telephone call. Then you can start a game like this one and waste your time. Most time it is so. I played games like this when I was, for example, I was in the waiting room when I go to the doctor, or sometimes. Then in the waiting room, I open up my phone. Okay, let's play and waste our time till we are cold, something like that. Or on the bus stop, I play something like this too, or on the train station, and said, oh man, I missed the train. Now I have to wait 10 minutes or 20 minutes, depends which train I have to take and then said, okay, let's play a game, a time waster. And this kind of games, they look very simple, but they do the job, right? They do really the job. You need most time 1 minute or 1.5 minute most times to achieve your goal. You die, and this 1 minute and 1.5 minutes is exactly the time which you are normally wait, or even more a little bit. You can play it 2-3 times if you have to wait a little bit more, and they fulfilling exactly the purpose what I'm aiming for. I'm aiming for mobile games, but of course, if you are not aiming for mobile games, which means then you can go also a little bit more for advanced graphics. That's why I choose this simple game here. It has very simple graphics, very possible to do on a mobile. And the bad side is, if I'm doing this on a mobile, of course, I should have also knowledge a little bit what a mobile requires, right? That's also a little bit tricky sometimes. But yeah, you have to choose your target platform, and you have to choose the game topic. And that's also very interesting when we talk about this Mega Jam, because this Mega Jam, and here in 2 weeks, this Mega Jam will start. And I hope you participate into it, because you learn a lot of stuff during this jam. And they will announce the topic at the start date in a Twitch stream or a YouTube stream, and you can watch it. And this topic is something like the last one was, I don't know what the last one was. Anything like yes, I don't know. Cats fly in space or something like that, and then you have to make a topic, build a game where cats has to do something with space or something like that in a very creative way. And yeah, there are different things how you can interpret this, and they will give a topic and you should try to build in this topic. But in our case, we are building a game for general purposes, which means we are trying to deploy it later for stores. You should choose your game topic later on your own, which means which you think you can realize, and it's easy for your target audience, which means, for example, in my case, this one here, this is just a time waster on bus stops, on waiting rooms, on every place where you want just waste a short amount of time, or you make a short pause and you say, hey, let's I listen music while I playing this game. I turn here off the music if it's possible. I don't know, here it's not possible, but something like that, right? That's sometimes happens, and that's why I make this kind of game. And most people who see this kind of game say, hey, this looks so awful, nobody will play this. No, that's not true. There are many persons who are playing this kind of games just to waste the time, right? Just to overcome time, so they go to their normal things what they have to do. And in your place, of course, you should try to find your audience as well. For example, if you make a PC game, then you should aim for a PC game which makes sense for your target audience. For example, if you make a PC game for action RPG games, yes, that's all time interested. There are many action RPG player, or you make a shooter game, there are also many shooter game player. And these are the big topics, I would say. Puzzle games are also something interesting. And then there are some other places where you can find what you need. So I think that's the planning phase, what you should consider when you try to plan your game. And the most important thing is that you should already be familiar with this game style, which means you already played games like that, and you know how the player feels when he's playing this kind of game. And here I said I never played here much of this kind of games, but I waited a lot of places where I want to just break time, right? So in bus stops, train stops, waiting rooms, or other places, just make a short break, listen music while I just do anything here with my hands, perhaps on the phone. Then you will see even this kind of games who look so silly, so simple, they are played. Yes, they are indeed played, and I will provide this game for free because I want just test it and be happy when it's out. All right. And if you are interested, of course, for games which, let's say, cost money, like here in HIO, I may show you this kind of stuff, then of course you should provide a higher quality game because, let's say so, many people pay only money for games which they think is interesting, is something new, and is worth their time. And most time it should look a little bit more interesting, because you can see when I scroll here down, all these images make impact, right? And every person is different, every person reacts different to different images because every person has their own interests. Some are good, some are bad for you, and so on. I have no clue myself, but think about this, that when you want to sell your money for money, right, this guy's here, then your game should be really good. For example, here is a free game. That's interesting. I would click this one for just free. You can see the free games here. At least they say it's free. You can just test them, and this probably clicked faster than the paid games. That's also possible. But of course, they have other strategies here. For example, like this one. So in ads or anything like that, here's again a free game. You can see, you can download it and then test it. So you have think about this kind of stuff as well. If you for advertisement, we have not talked about this one. A game must, of course, you can give it free like this one here, but they have probably in-app purchases, or they have advertisement probably, or they made it really for free. So they try to satisfy the player absolutely, and then release another version for or let's say an upgrade for another game which is similar like this, and then they are adding there something like that. So there are different kind of strategies to earn money with this one, and you have to think about this. And yeah, this is also very important to consider, this marketing strategy, and this kind of things you are also not learning during this Unreal Engine 5 tutorials, because this marketing strategy you have to learn normally. You have to learn it at start normally, let's say, but every developer are not doing this. They are trying to finish a game because that's the most important part of a game developer, finish a game, because without a finished game you can't market anything. But after you finish that game, we have to learn also marketing and all kind of stuff like this. And that's why it's so important for us as beginners as well, just to finish a game which is simple and learn all the other parts which is not included in Unreal Engine 5, because these are done in other places, right? So I think that's enough for this video, and I hope you found now what you want create. And important is, like I said, you should do something which you are familiar, so don't try to find a topic which you have no clue. For example, in my case, I have never played really a sim game. I have no clue how to simulate this kind of games, or what the player is interested. Of course, I could create games like this, but I doubt that it will be for the target audience, right? And so I have no clue about this one. But on the other side, I have many ideas about shooter games, about RPG games, because all this kind of games I played. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, I hope you found your game which you want to. After you found it, then try to find also a tutorial on YouTube if it's possible, or anywhere, for free of course, and follow the guide, because like I said, to analyze this kind of games as a beginner is hard. So if you follow just a tutorial, it's easier, where all the steps are explained. Then you can make this in a very short amount of time. And like I said, all these tutorials on YouTube and many guides are not finished like this one here, but they are not bad. They are almost finished. Like you can see, this one is a very core system, but almost finished. You have just add perhaps here a little bit more, not so much more. I would not really add here much more. I would almost finish it. Perhaps the only thing what I would do is try to see if after I finish this core system here, I would make the core system exactly like this one, then test it, and then perhaps add 1-2 more levels, and that's it. Then try, of course, then you can, like I said, after you finish your core system and then you watch your time, then you can try to make this more pretty, more advanced, and all this kind of stuff. But keep in mind, after you added new feature to the core system which was tested, you have to test this other things too, because it can break the already tested version. And that happens a lot, because many are surprised. They say, I tested the full game in editor, was all fine, I packed it, and then I wanted to deploy it, but before I deploy it, I started it and it was not working. There was a bug, and that happens a lot. This is a very standard thing in game development. It comes from nowhere, a bug, and then you have to figure out why, where, and this costs also much time, and this time we have to also calculate. So that's very important. And with that said, I make here again a pause for this video, and in the next video we dive a little bit more into, yes, I think then we will dive first of all to the creation process, and let's make a plan. But before we can make a plan, I have to talk, of course, about a very, very important topic which I have talked in my tutorial series very shortly and never used in the tutorial series, because that was more a demonstration. And here it is very important. We will use, of course, source control, right? So, and I will link you a source control video which you can watch, because there was already a person on YouTube who explained one way of source control. For example, Git. I will use, this is a very simple version. The more advanced version for groups is Perforce. And if you go to this Epic Mega Jam, for example, which comes here in 2 weeks, they give you a chance. Let me go here, this one, let me show you this one fast too. Here is the Epic Mega Jam. They say you can learn Perforce and get access to Assemble, or what this is. Where is that? Here is 26. Here it starts. Here's the where's the Epic Game Jam? Here is this one. You click here on this Game Jam. Oops, not this one. This was the wrong one. Let's go back. Oops, it's not here. You click on this one here, and then you come to the start page. And in the start page, here they have some offers. For example, this assembler, you can use other source controls, and they show you can use Perforce. This one is used for bigger companies normally, but interesting is, I think up to 5 it's free for test, and during this Mega Jam it's anyway free for test. Then there are other source controls as well which you can test, and we have to talk about source controls, because this is a very big topic if you start a real game, right, for deployment. And like I said in my tutorials, I never used it because it is just demonstrating some parts of the Unreal Engine, and then I just demonstrated this asset or this functionality. There I don't need this control because I never use them again probably. But now you are creating a game, we need source control, which means we can use all our resources. Let's say we save them online, and if something happens, if your PC breaks or your hard drive or whatever happens, you can get all your information back and continue with your work, so it is not wasted. But one more thing, if you don't like source control and you say, I'm sure my house will not burn down, then of course you can use something like a local save as well. What I mean with that, you can just go instead of using source control, which is here on top, and in Unreal Engine 5 you will see there is also source control in the bottom and here anywhere, and then you can use, of course, a local save, which is just saving on your hard drive, or you have even a extended external hard drive, which means you save it on an external hard drive where you can plug it onto your PC or on an external device in your home office, in your home network, for example. This is also possible because you are saving it in the end and you can bring it back, but this is just saving, right? This is not similar to source control, because source control has a little bit more options there. In source control, more people can work together, and you can also I think watch the history, and if you make just a backup of files, you can't check histories and so on. Then for this topic you have to jump a little bit more in source control and read how source control works, and that's a big topic. And at this point you have to learn source control, I think, if you are a starter, and this is anyway a tutorial for starters, so I think you should learn source control at this point, because we are starting a game which we want really deploy, right? Our goal is really release this, and perhaps we make later updates to this one. So learn source control. This is probably the last message for today, and yeah, 2 weeks is really little time, because I have not too much time actually, because I have other things to do. But like I said, we make a very small game here. I can do it, I think. And don't underestimate games, even if they are small. They will take time. So your job is, I think, learn source control. If you don't know what this is, you should learn this. This will be used in future anyway if you are working with anyone. And it's and if you know already source control, then absolute perfect, because then you can decide if you use it or not, because source control is normally a standard to go when you start to create real projects. All right, with that said, I stop here. I stop also for today, and in the next video I on my side will use probably a simple Git source control, which I connect just to Git, and that's enough for me. And I make a local backup as well, so I will probably do things. So the one for Git, which I use this history, and one still local backup for any other times, well, who knows. And with that said, I hope you are prepared to start our little journey, which we finish in 2 weeks, I hope. And till there, good luck. No, we continue, of course, tomorrow. Till there, good luck. We continue tomorrow, and if you have any questions, any complaints, like old time, write it in the comments. See you in the next video. Bye and good luck.